This week on A Lively Experiment, it's the end of another General Assembly session. What made it and what didn't? And the Philadelphia fallout continues with Governor McKee under fire for how he's handled the scandal.
A Lively Experiment is generously underwritten by...
Hi, I'm John Hazen-White Jr. For over 30 years, A Lively Experiment has provided insight and analysis of the political issues that face Rhode Islanders. I'm a proud supporter of this great program and Rhode Island PBS.
Joining us for the analysis, Sue Cienki, National Committeewoman and former chairwoman for the Rhode Island Republican Party. Developer and former Providence Mayor Joe Paolino, and political strategist Rob Horowitz. Welcome to this week's Lively. I'm Jim Hummel. It is great to have you with us. It is a familiar script every year. Nothing happens for months at the General Assembly. Then it's a chaotic scene when the leadership sets a date for adjournment. This year was no different as the session ended just after 1:30 Friday morning. Changes to the Policemans' Bill of Rights and disability pensions for firefighters with PTSD fell by the wayside, but a $14 billion budget passed. Sue, I'm still having a hard time. That number rolls around on my lips. 14 billion.
It's too high. You know, you look at comparables with other states, and it's not only too high, it's the price per person, per capita, how much we expect Rhode Islanders to burden anymore. It's way too high. And of course, there are things in it that are just ridiculous. You know, we have $50 million for a COVID office. Well, why do we have a COVID office at this point in time? Let Rhode Island Department of Health handle that. There's also $45 million for life sciences, and it was an interesting debate between Representative Patricia Morgan and Marzikowski. You know, his response was, well, we're close to New York. Well, it's a public-private partnership that they anticipate, and I don't like those because the private sector usually makes a lot of money and the taxpayers are left holding the bag. So there are things in it that shouldn't be. And I think the excuse is, well, there's ARPA money. So next year that's going to go away and we'll be able to cut spending then. That doesn't wash for me.
Well, will the budget come down next year if it's not?
I don't know if it's going to come down, but I got to disagree with you, Sue, in regards to, I mean, you want to cut COVID? So what happens if COVID comes back again and we're not prepared for it? We're going to fall by the wayside? I'd rather prepare, invest now, than react and not have any resources. Secondly, with what Joe Cienki did with life sciences, I mean, have you ever driven into downtown Worcester? Downtown Worcester is a life science mecca. That they have so many universities working with them, so many jobs being created. No wonder Worcester is ahead of us here in Rhode Island. So if there's right now in Massachusetts, they passed this millionaire's tax out there. 70 projects have stopped. They're on pause. I say, let's advertise in Massachusetts. You don't like your taxes out there? Come to Rhode Island. We're going to do biotech with you. We have the Brown Medical School, legal lifespan. We'll create jobs right here in the city of Providence and throughout the state. So I think that's an investment that Cienki and the legislature and the governor have made into life science. It should have been done 20 years ago.
Should we have cut the sales tax?
You know, yeah, look, if you cut sales tax, cut income tax, I want to cut everything.
But dramatically, I mean, not 0.15.
But if you can't do it, you can't do it. I don't know enough about the intricacies of the budget and how they're trying it, so I don't want to be a Monday morning quarterback and say, I know all the answers. I don't know all the answers.
The sales tax is about $1.5 billion a year of revenue, so say you cut it 1%, that's a $250 million hole. And as Sue said, the one thing she said I agreed with her on is that the federal money is going away. And by the way, it was interesting to see that Republicans, your party actually supported the Cienki budget unless something changed last night. I think it was a wise budget. Most of the federal spending is in one-time spending, so it's not building things into the budget. Clearly, we're going to have to tighten our belts over the next few years because there is going to be less federal funding. And in terms of the life sciences, if you're going to compete in economic development, if every state would unilaterally disarm, or we'd all disarm together, it would make sense. But if you're going to compete, there is some public spending that has to occur. What I like about this proposal is it's not company specific. It's trying to at least create the environment, as Worcester has, for a life sciences initiative. That was part of what the Innovation District was supposed to be about, and so far has yet to yield the promise. Perhaps with this kind of effort at a pretty modest level of spending in a $15 billion budget.
If they build it, they will come. You've got to create an environment, I think, for people to come here and invest their money. We have poor schools. We've got to really take care of our educational system. If we're going to spend money, let's spend money on education. Let's make sure our children can read. Let's advance and open up more charter schools. People, they're not the panacea. I will agree they're not everything that they're made up to be, but parents are dying for choice here. So let's make sure our educational system, we do have great universities here, Brown, PC, Providence. They're great schools, but can our students that we educate here compete in them? They can't read, they can't do math.
What about the Republicans' approach? It was different on the House and the Senate. Mike Chippendale, new House Minority Leader, decided to start talking to the House Speaker early, and he put out a press release. He said, we got 5 or 6 things. They ultimately, except for 2, voted for the budget. On the other side, Senator De La Cruz said, no, we don't like this at all. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have the utmost respect for Leader Chippendale. He definitely did have a different approach than when Blake Filippi was the leader. He realized that they don't need the Republicans to pass the budget, that the budget was going to pass with or without them. So he went in and negotiated and got a few things that he felt were very important. Senator De La Cruz felt, I'm not settling for crumbs. We need a massive overhaul here. And people don't elect us to go along to get along. People elect us to be the opposition party, to say, let's take a closer look at things that are really important here. So it's a different approach. We'll see how it works out. They did get some things. The tangible tax went away for a while. They got some conservation money, which is important. We saw the devastation with fires on the western side, and that's an area that Mike Chippendale represents. And a lot of the Republicans represent the western portion of the state. So it was very important to get conservation money. It was very important to get more park rangers in that area, because we haven't taken care of our forest management very well.
What about the elimination of the tangibles tax?
I think it's great. To get rid of the tangible tax, that's a pro-business thing. Also, look what the legislature did, the big success they had in investing in housing, trying to get affordable housing in the state. Now, I got to tell you, though, I scratched my head saying, gee, we've always had 1 million people live in the state. We never had a housing crisis 20 years. Why are we having it now?
And why are we having it now?
I think because
it's not affordable to live here.
Well,
it's just not affordable. I mean,
listen,
it isn't.
8.5% interest rates doesn't make it affordable,
no,
okay?
Right.
High price of property doesn't make it affordable. So what they need to do is help subsidize some of that right now. I think Jay Powell and the Fed, you want to talk about outrages later on? I'm going to say right now, the outrage is the Fed, what they're doing to the economy. They're targeting people that want to see growth take place and create jobs, and they're killing them with these interest rates. And you're going to see, when you saw a housing bubble take place in 2008, wait when you see the office buildings and the shopping malls are going to take a hit in 2024, 2025. We have serious problems ahead of us. And if we don't try to head that off now, we're going to have a problem. That's why the Superman building isn't being done. That's why Tidewater isn't being done, because you can't afford it. We have been spoiled on low interest rates of 2 and 3% for a number of years. We have a generation of young people today don't understand what inflation is or what a recession is all about, because they never had to live through it. We have, and we're going to see it again.
It's interesting that you say that. I agree with you about the interest rates. They have been artificially low for such a long period of time. That 6% interest rate isn't really that high. I can remember in the 70s.
My first mortgage was 10 1/4.
Right. I can remember one of my older siblings.
During Carter?
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter was 21%.
Yep.
But the only thing I agreed with Trump is when he told the Fed, bring interest rates down, because that's where you're going to see growth, and that's when the economy was moving, when you saw low interest rates.
Right, and it stops everything. The interest rate stops everything. You talk about school construction. There are a number of towns that are looking to renovate or build new schools. Well, people are looking, going, how is that the interest rate's going to impact our ability to pay that off, which will increase, the affordability in towns.
I think you're going to see the interest rates begin to come down, and not to disagree with the former mayor here, but and he is certainly more economically learned than me and has much more money on the table,
He's in the
I
business.
would say, than I do. But I would say that the inflation problem was real, and inflation is down to 4%. I think you're going to see the Fed now taper off. Now, maybe they kept them high a little longer than they should have, but there wasn't really a lot of alternatives. And then I would say in terms of the overall thing, Sue, we can build and educate. We can walk and chew gum. You're talking about $30 or $40 million for a life sciences building and a few $1 billion for education. We obviously, job one is to improve our schools. That doesn't mean we can't also make some wise investments in our economic future along with the schools.
I was at the chamber breakfast that Sheldon Whitehouse talked about. The Globe did a story on it, and somebody asked him about, hey, what about Tidewater Landing? What about the Superman building? And look, you're right in the middle of development. And Sue alluded to, a lot of school districts have based their projections on low interest rates. So what about Senator Whitehouse's comments?
Well, he's right. I mean, look at what happened when Alorza was mayor. He tried to get that bill passed so he could do some hedging on stocks and with the pension system, because the system in Providence is shaky. And when the interest rates went up, they had to suspend it. Right. And it was the right thing to do, is to suspend it. But interest rates are killing these projects. In the Superman building, I think I would like our elected leaders to listen to what I'm about to say. I hate to give advice when I'm not asked for it, but I think
I'll ask you for it. What advice should they give you?
I think they're handling it the wrong way. I think you get the owner, first of all, you either got to marry him or you got to shoot him. One or the other. There's no in between. You either got to get a divorce or you got to marry the guy. And you got to say to him, show me where your financing is and tell me what your gap is, and I want proof on paper, in writing, what commitment you have to do financing. I want to know who your contractor is and when you plan on starting, and just tell me what the gap is that needs to be filled. And instead, the guy came in, he said, I need this much money. They gave it to him. He never got the private financing. They did it opposite. It was bad. And I would put everybody in the room. I want the governor and the mayor and the developer and everybody in the room, lock the door. I'd have the cop outside the door. Nobody leaves until a deal is made that we know is going to happen.
Would you allow people to go to the bathroom or eat?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
So what do you think?
About Tidewater Landing?
Yeah, well,
I think
the
it was
Superman building, and then ultimately the ripple effect all of this is going to have locally.
Yeah, it's going to have a huge impact locally. I mean, the Superman building is an iconic building up in Providence, and it's sitting vacant. So I don't disagree that it should be renovated. We should do something. But right, financing is going to be a big problem for all the developers. And Tidewater Landing, someone didn't do their due diligence with that building and make sure that the financing was there and available and what the commitment was. I mean, the developer in that project is got a shaky background. I mean, nobody looked at that.
He has a what background?
Shaky.
No, he doesn't.
Shaky.
No, he's been a very successful guy, but he's been too cautious. I wouldn't take a shot at him for being shaky or shady or anything else. He's been very successful. He's got good investors. But I think the state needs to grab the ball, put everybody in a room, and just try to pound a deal. Housing is critical, and I think that maybe they take a book out of Bruce Sutherland's administration, and that is when the Omni Hotel was built. Back then it was the Westin. Quite frankly, the state backed all the bonds in that, okay? And the state did well on it when they sold it to the private sector. The state may have to get behind the bonds on the Superman building, and maybe the city also. And it's not a Studio 38. You got real estate, you have substance, you have equity, you have property, and and right now housing being so needed, that may be the way to get interest rates down to make it work.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, and I think the problem with Superman building, I think also initially, even before some of this, is when the original deal was cut, the experts that looked at it said there's not enough money, and there was always a sort of sense that they were going to come back, that the developers are going to come back for more money. So part of it is sometimes there's unforeseeable events, but some of it is let's get the real costs to the taxpayer in the first deal, and not be making 3 or 4 other deals. At this point, I think that, Joe's made some sensible suggestions about how to go forward. I'm more encouraged about the Pawtucket project, and Johnson's commitment to it's pretty evident because they're going to start playing at Bryant, the team. So
Right,
he's
and
clearly committed.
and the work is still
and the work's
continuing.
going on. So that one I'm much more optimistic about.
I think the initial plan for Tidewater, I will say this, the comprehensive plan of housing and marketing and retail, and a
that
soccer
got put out.
stadium.
That
and that
got
got put out. I
side,
think
yeah.
that was not a bad idea because you do need more housing, more affordable housing, and that plan was great. But to skinny it down just to have a soccer stadium, and I'm going to say I was a soccer player. I love soccer, but I am not going up to Pawtucket just for
Well,
that
that's because you
reason
live all the
alone.
way down in East Greenwich.
I know,
That's
it's
a
too
pretty
far.
long. It's a pretty long drive.
It's almost out of state.
I'm not that much in disagreement with you about that, but I don't know enough about the project. I know a lot about the Superman building.
Before we move on, there are a couple of things that went by the wayside, as we had alluded to at the beginning. The long talked about tweaks to the Officers' Bill of Rights, the Policeman's Bill of Rights, and there's PTSD for firefighters, which we've talked about in the past. We've all followed the legislature. What drives me nuts is that all of a sudden, it's only June 15th. It's not even the end of June. The Speaker says, this is it. We got to be done tonight. And I'm not sure that bill would have gotten over the finish line, but I don't know what this artificial deadline is that once the budget passes, it's almost like the drain opens up. There was some good legislation up there, Rob, that got left on the table that if they'd had maybe another week or even a couple of days might have gone through.
I think that's fair. On the other hand, deadlines concentrate the mind, so you wonder if it would have. And in the case
But what were they doing in February, March, April,
Agreed.
May? The dirty little secret and not so well-kept secret is they trade chits on the budget, but why can't they do important stuff like they did the truck tolls, whether you agree with that or not? That was done in February. Why can't they do Policeman's Bill of Rights in April?
I think you're right about that. But it's not. And again, I'm not trying to defend it. I think you're right. It's how every legislator, including the federal legislature, look what happened on the default. It takes to the last minute. I do think that we dodged a bullet on the fireman's bill as much as PTSD is real, and the firefighters do courageous work. It's just a recipe to go back to the future or back to the bad old days, and have unaffordable pensions again. So I think that was good. Policeman Bill of Rights is always going to be tricky. I don't know if another 2-3 weeks you're really going to be able to hammer it out.
You've had a lot of, when you were president of East Greenwich Town Council, you had a lot of interaction with firefighters, so you've been keeping a track of that bill.
I've been keeping track of the bill, and you're right. I think it could be a recipe for disaster. We've seen it pass in some other states, and it just becomes a recipe for disaster. As far as Libor goes, yeah, I'm a firm believer that should be changed in some way. But what we've seen is the leadership lets bills go that they really want to happen, and other things they are trading back and forth. I think government is all about compromise. You know, when you put things in, I think that there was some good compromise on the Libor bill that never saw the light of day.
And it was a chamber thing. The Senate was driving it, and the House at the end of the day didn't. Did you have issues when you were mayor with Policeman's Bill of Rights?
I think they should be tweaking the Policeman's Bill of Rights. Look, I'm pro-cop, we're all pro-cop. We should be anyways. But I'm also pro-citizen. And when there's a problem there, if you need to have to discipline, you need to be able to take action quickly. The Policeman's Bill of Rights sometimes gets in the way of disciplining that officer. So we want good cops. You know, the worst thing you can have is a bad cop. But I'm proud of the cops that I've seen. We have, what do you have, 1 or 2 bad apples? You only have a few. But you need, I think, communication is important, and to continue to talk to the leadership of the police and to compromise with them, I think is important. To change the Policeman's Bill of Rights, yes, I think they should have tweaked it.
The last thing on the legislature, Rob, you've been involved with a lot of campaigns. We all have. They increased the donation limits, and so I've heard arguments on each side. It goes from 1,000 to 2,000. Also, the amount that you have to report to remain anonymous. Good bill. Do you agree with that
I would
or not?
split the baby on it. I like the increase, or I don't know if I like it. I have no issue with doubling the
to $2,000 per person per year.
It's still
maximum.
it's still relatively low relative to most states, and since it was first passed, inflation, everything else, I don't have any issue with that. You can play a lot of games with anonymous contributions. There's 100 ways to slice the apple and add up a bunch of $200 or $300 checks to a big amount. So I'm for more disclosure, not less. I think if there's a problem with that, will pass. That's the problem. And I don't buy people want to contribute. More people contribute. They don't want their names out there. If you don't want your name associated with a candidate at 30 or 40 bucks, don't give. That's public's right to know.
Support them maybe in other ways.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
What do you think about that bill?
I don't care if the limit was $10,000, but I actually agree with Rob. Transparency, that's what we want to know. Who's giving the money to these candidates, and are they exerting
We've got Sue agreeing with Rob and with Joe. We gotta put this away in a vault
panel.
somewhere. What about the political contributions?
Look, that means that everybody's going to call me up now and say, gee, can you max out to me before the end of the year? It's going to cost me an extra $1,000.
You just looked at your ledger sheet, yeah. You looked at it through a different lens than the others did.
Totally.
It was a busy news day on Thursday. The other thing that happened was, I call it the Philadelphia fallout. Everybody knows the story by now of the two state employees who embarrassed Rhode Island. The one who was still employed at $175,000 a year, David Patton, put in his resignation. I thought it was interesting, Sue. He can never work in Rhode Island again. I don't know if they they're going to have troopers at the border if he tries to get in. This whole deal was bad from the beginning. And again, I think the governor to me had a little bit of a tin ear in. I don't think he realized the gravity when it came out of how people were going to react. And it became a national story.
Yeah, I think he probably could have handled it better, or his team could have handled it a little bit better. What I thought was interesting is they took my shine away. I like to file ethics complaints against people. And the Ethics Commission actually took it upon themselves and they filed, which is really very unusual.
Have you ever seen that happen before? No.
Every once in a while they will do that, and they have the authority to do that. Sometimes they have a busy job and they're focused on other issues. So it was really, I want to commend them for doing that.
Washington Post, New York Times, Philadelphia Inquirer, not the kind of publicity that we need here.
No, you don't want it, but people want to jump on the governor. He's got personal matters. If there's something that has to do with somebody's illness, you can't just be able to take action the way that you may want to do it if you're in the private sector. You have rules and regulations, and the first person to come back to bite you will be Common Cause, or it'll be the AG, or it could even be the Ethics Commission that you gave somebody's personnel file out. So look, the end result was the gentleman resigned. And, everybody wants to jump on somebody. I will tell you that I know that gentleman. I've worked with him. He was always a professional every time I worked with him. He probably had a bad day out there, and that bad day cost him his livelihood.
A couple of bad days, I think.
I really hate when my brother, who lives in Philadelphia, gets to send me an email with the Philadelphia Inquirer story with a big chortle about what's going on in Providence there, dude. But I think at least it ended in a sensible way, which is he resigned. He may also have some legal issues simply because it's one thing to sort of have the inappropriate behavior, but the other thing is he was saying if you want the $55 million,
extortion, right?
I want a really nice dinner out loud. It wasn't like a bag of cash, but there was enough there. Hopefully that'll all get navigated, and whatever issues he's having, medical issues and some behavioral issues that get addressed. I think at least it ended in a sensible way.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be known for the beautiful ocean state that we have, and I hate these negative stories. I mean, this is such a beautiful state, and we've got such great we've got such great things to do all summer long. And
does it make you want to eat vegan cheese? I hadn't even thought of vegan cheese before this.
I don't even know what that is.
All right, so let's do this. I do want to talk about CD1. We're running out of time. Let's do outrages and/or kudos. Rob, let's begin with you.
I'll do a very quick kudos/outrage. Kudos/outrage. Speaker McCarthy, who's got the hardest job in politics. Kudos for the bipartisan deal that avoided a default, where he did some courageous action. Outrage of the silliest, and there have been many explanations and defenses of Donald Trump in the documents indictments case. Saying he had it in the bathroom when you can lock the bathroom door, which was Kevin McCarthy's take on it, has to be up there as the most absurd and the worst.
Joe, outrage or kudo this week?
Well, I'm going to congratulate the legislature and the governor in regards to what they did with the legislative session with the life science. I think that's a game changer for business in the state. We have to build off our strength, and it's eds and meds, and it's the right direction to go in. I don't like what the Fed's doing with interest rates. They're stopping progress. They're going to put people out of work. They're going to stop construction. And it's so important for us here in Rhode Island. We're always the first one in a recession, last one out of a recession. We have to try to take the ball sometimes and drive it ourselves. And I think the Fed's doing everything they can. They don't want to have inflation, but I think they're going overboard with these high interest rates.
So what do you have?
So kudos. I'd like to wish the three gentlemen on the panel a happy Father's Day. So
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank
to
you
you.
for that.
Enjoy the day. I hope you get to spend it on your boat doing nothing.
We're going to be inside with an umbrella, right?
You might be inside.
way-
I wish the weather was better. The outrage was, the Pride event at the White House. I think that the actors there overstepped. It is a hallowed ground, the White House, and it belongs to all of us, but the way that they behaved was simply outrageous.
Well, what did they do?
There was some removing of clothing and
there was some nudity and
At the White House?
At the White House.
yeah.
Not good.
Good.
Yeah, another source of agreement over here. We have 2.5 minutes left. CD1. This has been the filing deadline's a couple of weeks away. It's been a snooze fest, maybe because you have 17 people to keep track of. What do you think as you see this race?
It's going to be interesting. These next one's filing.
2 weeks
End
away.
of June,
weeks.
early July.
Yep.
Keep your eye on what Joe Cienki's going to be doing.
You think he's going to jump in?
And if he gets in, I don't know if he, personally, I hope he doesn't, because I think the state needs him here in Rhode Island as Speaker. I think he's done an outstanding job. But I'm sure for the next 2 weeks, the legislature's behind him. I'm sure he's going to be giving us some thought. If he does, that whole race changes.
Well, it changed substantially when he said he wasn't going to
Right,
run.
because
Then
the
you
floodgates come
You
in,
had 15.
and
What
he's
are we
got a
up
lot
to?
of money.
Yeah, 15, 17. Completely changes.
Your
the race if he
successor
gets
said
in.
that he has somebody close.
Yes,
Do you have any inside
absolutely.
intel that you want to tell me or not?
It's actually Gary Leonard. He's filed
okay.
his FEC.
Oh, he did?
probably make a formal announcement sometime in July, but he's out there now. He has the ability to raise money, but it's going to come down to, I think, on the Democratic side, who has name recognition. You see that Sabina Matos, of course, polled higher than anybody else, and that's an
Those were her
anomaly.
internal polls.
Well, certainly, but 43% of the people are undecided because there's too many people in. So who has the name recognition? Her, Aaron Rugenberg. They have name
and Joe
recognition.
Cienki.
And Joe would.
So I think that's actually an acute analysis of the Democratic primary. I think
I pay attention.
yes, you do. I think Sabina's poll was her internal poll, but it's probably about where it is. And the fact you put it out is interesting because, as Sue said, Mr. and Mrs. Undecided's lap in the
Win.
field. This is still anybody's race. Those are the two favorites probably. But if Carlson's got some money, Gabe Emmel. This race is completely up for grabs.
How do you approach this race as a political strategist? You're in the summer, people aren't paying attention. Is it social media because people aren't watching TV? How do you get out there?
I think, first of all, the TV ratings go down, but so does the cost of television. So if you've got real money, if you're like Carlson says he has, I'd get up on TV, and obviously you want to amplify.
Yeah, Nick
social media.
Audiello apparently is going up
Yeah,
soon.
and you have Stephen Casey, who's got the union backing.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
that is going to be
Labor.
key in this race because it's going to be a low turnout. So whoever gets their people out, and if you've got union support, that's going to be tough to beat.
All right. Okay, that is all the time we have. Joe and Sue and Rob, we appreciate you coming in. Folks, it's going to take the next couple of weeks to figure out exactly what the General Assembly did on the last night. We will be here for the full analysis, so stick with us in the coming weeks. If you don't catch us Friday at 7 or Sunday at noon, we archive all of our shows at ripbs.org/lively. We hope you have a great week and join us back here next week as the Lively Experiment continues.
A Lively Experiment is generously underwritten by
Hi, I'm John Hazen White Jr. For over 30 years, A Lively Experiment has provided insight and analysis of the political issues that face Rhode Islanders. I'm a proud supporter of this great program and Rhode Island PBS.